Questions. My dear friends, I have a question for you. How many of you have ever said, from tomorrow I'm going to change my life? Suppose questions. Smile, and how many of you are still waiting for that tomorrow to arrive? You see, life doesn't change with big resolutions. Questions. It changes with small revolutions. The little habits we repeat every single day. Today let's talk about 5 simple daily habits that can truly transform your life. Not in years, not in months, questions, but starting today. Most people start their day with an alarm. Wise people start their day with awareness. The first few minutes after you wake up set the tone for your entire day. Questions. Instead of grabbing your phone, grab your peace, sit in silence, breathe, express gratitude for 3 things before you even step out of bed. Because if your first thought is gratitude, questions, your whole day becomes an attitude of gratitude. Remember, how you start your day decides how you live your day. We spend so much time choosing what to eat for breakfast. Oats or paratha, questions, smoothie or sandwich. But we rarely think, what am I feeding my mind? The mind is like a garden. If you don't plant flowers, weeds will grow automatically. So every morning, before you scroll, questions, feed your mind something inspiring. Read a page of a good book, listen to a positive podcast, or reflect on a spiritual quote. Don't start your day with bad news, start it with good views. Questions. You don't need a fancy gym membership to be fit. Just 20 minutes of movement. Walk, stretch, dance, yoga, anything can shift your energy. When your body moves, your emotions move too. Questions. A stagnant body creates a stagnant mind. You can't pour from an empty cup. Take care of your body so your body can take care of you. Remember, fitness is not about shape, it's about state. Questions. Multitasking is the new way of doing nothing properly. We're eating while scrolling, walking while texting, talking while thinking of something else. Just try this. Questions. Do one thing every day with your full heart and full attention. Eat mindfully, listen deeply, or just watch the sunset without a phone. You'll realize. Questions. Peace doesn't come from doing more. It comes from being more present. When you live in the moment, every moment becomes life-changing. Before you sleep, questions. Don't just close your eyes, open your heart. Ask yourself 3 simple questions. What went well today? What did I learn today? Whom did I help today? Questions. These questions will slowly rewire your mind to focus on growth and gratitude, not guilt or regret. Nights of reflection create mornings of direction. Once a man asked me questions. How do I change my life? I told him, change your day, because your life is nothing but a collection of your days. If you win your day, you win your life. Questions. You don't have to climb the entire staircase. Just take one small step every single day. The beauty is, consistency is more powerful than intensity. I'll give you a bonus habit. Smile more. Questions. Smile not because everything is perfect. Smile because you're perfectly growing through the imperfections. Smile because it costs nothing but gives everything. My friends, questions. Life doesn't change in one day. It changes daily. Don't underestimate the power of small, consistent actions. Drops make the ocean. Steps make the journey. Habits make the destiny. Questions. So tomorrow morning when you wake up, don't just start your day. Design your day. Because the habits you build will one day build you. Questions. Imagine this, the alarm rings, your phone vibrates, and before your eyes are even fully open, your hand instinctively reaches for the phone. You scroll through messages, notifications, questions, and maybe a few headlines that already make you feel like the world is on fire. You haven't even brushed your teeth yet, and your mind is already flooded with chaos. Sound familiar? Questions. Most of us start our day reacting to the world instead of creating it. But what if you could begin each morning in a way that instantly changes your mood, your energy, and even the way you see life? Questions. That's what happens when you start your day with silence and gratitude. let's understand something very simple but very powerful. Questions. The first few minutes after you wake up are like the foundation of a house. If the foundation is weak, no matter how beautiful the house looks, it won't stand strong. Similarly, questions. If your mornings are filled with noise, stress, and rush, the rest of your day will crumble under pressure. But if you begin your day grounded in peace, mindfulness, and gratitude, questions, you carry that calm strength through every challenge that comes your way. Now let me share a small story. A friend of mine, let's call him Raj, was always in a rush. He would wake up late, questions, grab his phone, reply to emails, rush through breakfast, and then complain that every day felt stressful and unproductive. One day, he decided to make one tiny change. Questions. For the first 10 minutes after waking up, he would not touch his phone. Instead, he sat quietly, took a few deep breaths, and thought of 3 things he was grateful for. Questions. Just 3 things, as simple as, I'm grateful for my family, I'm grateful for my job, I'm grateful for this new day. Within a week, questions, he noticed something amazing. His stress levels dropped, his focus improved, and even his relationships felt lighter. Why? Because gratitude shifts the lens through which you see life. Questions. When you start your day by counting blessings instead of problems, your whole perspective changes. Silence is not the absence of sound, it's the presence of yourself. In silence, questions, you meet the real you, the one that's not scrolling, comparing, or rushing. It's the you that thinks, reflects, and connects with your inner peace. Questions. The world outside is loud, deadlines, news, opinions, noise everywhere. But the real power lies in the ability to be calm amidst the noise. Questions. Silence helps you hear your own thoughts clearly before the world starts telling you what to think. That's why the greatest leaders, monks, questions, and thinkers in history have always valued quiet moments in the morning. Try this tomorrow. The moment you wake up, before touching your phone, close your eyes and take 3 deep breaths. Questions. Feel your heartbeat. Feel the gift of life moving through you. Then, think of 3 things you're grateful for. They don't have to be big. Questions. You can be grateful for the warm sunlight coming through your window, the bed that gave you rest, or the loved ones sleeping peacefully beside you. Questions. Gratitude doesn't have to wait for a big achievement. It grows in the small, ordinary blessings we often overlook. Here's something beautiful about gratitude. Questions. It's impossible to be truly grateful and unhappy at the same time. When your heart is filled with appreciation, there's no space left for anxiety or complaint. Questions. And when you begin your day with that vibration of thankfulness, you naturally attract more things to be thankful for. Gratitude turns ordinary mornings into sacred beginnings. Questions. It transforms a cup of tea into a moment of mindfulness, a simple breakfast into a celebration of nourishment, and even a commute into a reflection on blessings. Let's be honest. Questions. Life will always have problems. You can't control everything that happens in your day, but you can control how you start it. Beginning with silence and gratitude is like putting on mental armor. Questions. The world might throw challenges, but you've already anchored yourself in peace. When you start with calm, you respond instead of react. You speak with kindness instead of frustration. Questions. You see opportunities instead of obstacles. A beautiful thought says, every morning you wake up is life's way of saying, you have one more chance. One more chance to love, to grow. Questions. To forgive, to live fully. Isn't that something worth being grateful for? Every sunrise is a silent invitation to start over, no matter how dark yesterday was. Questions. Gratitude allows you to reset your emotional compass every morning and say, to today, I will focus on what's right, not what's wrong. If you make this a habit, 5 minutes of silence, questions, followed by gratitude, you'll see a transformation within weeks. Your mind will become calmer, Your days will become lighter. You'll stop reacting to minor issues, questions, and start responding with clarity and compassion. You'll notice beauty in the small things, the smile of a stranger, the laughter of a child, the smell of rain, questions. That's when you realize happiness doesn't come from the things you get, it comes from the peace you create. There's a beautiful line by Gaur Gopal. We don't see things as they are, questions. We see things as we are. If you begin your day with noise, you'll see chaos everywhere. But if you begin your day with gratitude, you'll see grace everywhere. Questions. The world hasn't changed. You have. So tomorrow morning, don't wake up to your phone, wake up to your life. Sit quietly, breathe deeply, smile softly, and whisper to yourself questions. Thank you. Because that one small whisper can become the loudest force of positivity in your life. Every sunrise is a fresh start, a reminder that you're still here, still breathing. Questions, still capable of growth, love, and change. Remember, my friend, the way you start your morning is the way you live your day, and the way you live your days is the way you live your life. Questions, start it in silence, fill it with gratitude, and watch how life begins to shine back at you with the same grace you've been sending out. Questions, every morning as soon as we wake up, our body craves food, something to eat, something to drink. But have you ever thought about what your mind is consuming the very moment you open your eyes? Questions. The truth is, most of us feed our mind junk before we even feed our stomachs. The phone becomes our breakfast. We scroll through social media, read negative headlines, check emails filled with stress, questions, and then wonder why our mind feels heavy before the day has even begun. What we feed our mind is as important, in fact, more important than what we feed our body. Questions. Because your thoughts decide your emotions, and your emotions decide your day. The mind is like a fertile garden. Whatever you plant there grows, whether it's weeds or flowers. Questions. If you don't consciously plant positive, nourishing thoughts every morning, the weeds of negativity, fear, and comparison will take over automatically. It doesn't happen overnight, but day by day. Questions. It quietly shapes how you feel, how you speak, and how you live. That's why feeding your mind with the right content is one of the most powerful habits you can develop. Let me tell you a story. Questions. A young man once approached a wise monk and said, "Master, I feel so unhappy, so distracted, so anxious. I don't know why." The monk smiled and asked, "Tell me." Questions. What do you feed your mind every day? The young man replied, "I watch the news, scroll through social media, and read a lot of random posts online." The monk nodded and said, "Questions. If you plant bitter seeds, will you expect sweet fruits?" The young man smiled shyly. The monk continued, "You can't have a peaceful life with a polluted mind." Questions. Feed your mind peace if you want to live in peace. Think about it. Every morning when you scroll through negativity, gossip, and comparison, you're feeding your mind mental junk food. Questions. It might feel exciting for a few minutes, just like eating a sugary snack, but soon after you're left with fatigue, insecurity, and emptiness. But if instead, questions, you choose to start your day with positive, nourishing input, maybe a few pages of an inspiring book, a motivational video, or a few minutes of spiritual reflection, your mind feels lighter. Questions. Stronger and calmer. Your morning thoughts are like the first brush strokes on the canvas of your day. If those strokes are dark and messy, the whole painting looks dull. Questions. But if they're bright and intentional, your day becomes a masterpiece. A small shift in what you consume can completely shift how you feel. For example, imagine two people waking up at 6 a.m. Questions. The first one grabs his phone, scrolls through negative news, and reads complaints on social media. Within minutes, his mind is filled with frustration, fear, and comparison. Questions. The second one spends the first 10 minutes reading something uplifting. Maybe a few verses of wisdom, an inspiring biography, or just sitting in silence. Questions. Thinking about what he wants his day to look like. By the time both step out of their homes, their minds are in completely different worlds. The first one reacts to life. Questions. The second one creates his life. You see, it's not the events of the day that decide your mood, it's the state of your mind when those events happen. If your mind is nourished and centered, questions, challenges seem manageable. But if your mind is starved and stressed, even small inconveniences feel like big problems. Questions. That's why it's essential to make your mental breakfast as nutritious as your physical one. You don't have to spend hours doing this. Even 5 to 10 minutes can make a world of difference. Questions. Read one page from a book that uplifts your spirit. Listen to a short podcast that teaches you something valuable. Write down an inspiring quote and reflect on its meaning. Questions. Or simply sit quietly and repeat a few positive affirmations. I am calm. I am focused. I am grateful. It may sound simple, but these small acts build powerful foundations for your day. Questions. Feeding your mind positive content is like watering the roots of a tree. The stronger the roots, the taller the tree grows. But if you neglect the roots and only polish the leaves, questions, the tree will wither when the wind blows. Similarly, if you only focus on the outer world, appearances, possessions, opinions, and neglect your inner world, questions, you'll feel shaken by every small challenge. But when your mind is well fed with wisdom and positivity, you become stable, peaceful, and resilient. Questions. There's another beautiful benefit. When you feed your mind the right thoughts, you automatically begin to feed others positivity through your words and actions. Questions. The energy you carry influences everyone around you. A peaceful mind speaks peaceful words. A grateful heart shares gratitude. Just as you can't pour tea from an empty cup. Questions. You can't spread peace if your mind is starving for it. When you start your day right, you unconsciously make the day brighter for everyone you meet. Let's take a simple example from daily life. Questions. Suppose you read a small story about kindness in the morning. Maybe how someone helped a stranger or forgave an old friend. That story stays with you subconsciously. Later that day, questions. When you face a situation where you could choose between reacting or responding kindly, your mind remembers that story and you choose compassion. Questions. That one positive thought you fed your mind in the morning changed the way you behaved in the afternoon. That's the magic of feeding your mind. It doesn't just inspire you, it transforms you. Questions. So tomorrow when you wake up, before reaching for your phone or thinking about breakfast, pause for a moment and ask yourself questions. What am I going to feed my mind today? Because whatever you feed your mind will feed your day, and whatever feeds your day will eventually feed your destiny. Remember, my friend, questions. Your mind is the garden where your future grows. If you want flowers of peace, joy, and success, plant seeds of positivity, wisdom, and gratitude every morning. The world is already noisy. Questions. Your job is to create inner music. Don't start your day with the chaos of the world. Start it with the calm of your heart. Because a nourished mind creates a nourished life. Questions. And when you learn to feed your mind before you feed your body, every day becomes a feast of peace, purpose, and power. Questions. There's a beautiful saying, the body is the temple of the soul. And yet, most of us treat our bodies more like old storage rooms. Neglected, cluttered, questions, and forgotten until something goes wrong. We wait until pain reminds us of what we ignored. But the truth is simple. Your body is the vehicle that carries you through this journey called life. Questions. When you move your body, you're not just exercising your muscles. You're energizing your mind, uplifting your emotions, and awakening your spirit. Movement isn't just about fitness. Questions. It's about aliveness. Think about this when you feel stressed, anxious, or sad. what's the first thing that happens? Your shoulders tighten, your breathing becomes shallow, your posture slouches. Questions. The mind and body are deeply connected. When one is affected, the other responds. That means if you learn to move your body with awareness, you can actually shift the state of your mind. Questions. Movement is medicine, not only for your physical health, but also for your emotional and mental well-being. Let me tell you a story. A man once told me, I feel tired all the time. Questions. Even though I don't do much, I smiled and said, that's exactly why you're tired. You don't move enough. You see, energy is like water. When it flows, it stays fresh. Questions. When it stands still, it becomes stagnant. The same is true for the energy in our bodies. The more you move, the more energy you create. You don't need to run marathons or lift heavy weights. Questions. Just 20 minutes of walking, stretching, or dancing can change your entire mood. I know someone who began her mornings with a simple 15-minute walk around her neighborhood. At first, questions. She thought it was just physical exercise. But after a few weeks, she realized it was mental therapy. Those quiet moments of walking became her space to think clearly, breathe deeply, questions, and prepare emotionally for the day ahead. Her stress levels dropped, her creativity increased, and even her relationships improved. All because she decided to move her body every morning. Questions. Our lifestyles today have become alarmingly still. We sit to eat, sit to relax, and even complain about being tired while sitting. The body was never designed to be stationary. Questions. Every cell in your body comes alive when you move. Your heart pumps better, your lungs open wider. Questions. Your brain releases feel-good chemicals like dopamine and endorphins, nature's own happiness drugs. That's why after a good walk or yoga session, questions, you feel lighter and happier without any external reason. Movement literally shifts your biochemistry. Here's something interesting when you're upset or anxious. Questions. Have you ever tried taking a quick walk outside? Notice how your mind begins to calm down as your feet move. The rhythm of your steps becomes a rhythm for your thoughts. Questions. Nature has a way of healing you when you align with its rhythm. The wind against your face, the sound of your footsteps, the smell of fresh air, all remind you that you are alive. Questions. And being alive is a miracle in itself. One of the simplest forms of movement is stretching. Just a few stretches every morning can make your body feel awake and ready. Questions. It's a small reminder to your muscles that they are valued, to your joints that they are needed, and to your mind that you're taking care of yourself. Questions. Think about how you feel when you wake up from sleep, stiff, sluggish, half asleep. Stretching is your body's way of saying, questions, I'm ready for the day. A movement doesn't have to be boring or mechanical. Dance, for example, is one of the most joyful ways to move. Questions. You don't have to be a professional dancer. Just put on your favorite song and move however you like. It doesn't matter if your steps are perfect. What matters is that your spirit feels free. Questions. Dance has the power to shake off stress and awaken joy. When you dance, your body smiles and your mind follows. There's another side to this. When you don't move, your emotions get stuck. Questions. Have you noticed how, when you're sad, you don't feel like getting out of bed? But the longer you lie there, the worse you feel. The key is to break that loop. Questions. The moment you move, even a small step, your brain begins to release energy again. Movement tells your mind, we're not stuck, we're moving forward. That's why I often say, questions. Motion creates emotion. Let's take an example from daily life. Suppose you've had a long, stressful day at work. You come home exhausted and irritated. Questions. Most people would slump on the couch and scroll through their phones. But what if instead you took a 10-minute walk outside, or just stretched your arms, rolled your shoulders, questions, or did a few deep squats? You'd be surprised at how quickly your irritation turns into calmness. You can't stay angry and relaxed at the same time. The body decides what the mind feels. Questions. And here's the most beautiful part: when you take care of your body takes care of you. When you move regularly, your sleep improves, your digestion becomes smoother. Questions. And your immunity strengthens. You start to look better, yes, but more importantly, you feel better, lighter, confident, and alive. Questions. The body begins to trust you again because you've started listening to it. We live in a world where we spend so much time taking care of things: our phones, our cars, questions, our gadgets, but we forget to care for the one thing that truly carries us through every experience, our body. When was the last time you said thank you to your body? Questions. Thank you to your legs for carrying you through life, your hands for helping you create, your heart for beating tirelessly, your lungs for breathing life into every moment. Movement is not punishment. Questions. It's appreciation. So tomorrow morning, before rushing into your day, take a few minutes to move. Walk, stretch, dance, breathe. It doesn't matter what you do as long as you do it with joy. Questions. Feel your body wake up, your heart open, and your mind clear. The more you move, the more alive you feel. Remember this simple truth: if you don't make time for movement, questions, you'll eventually be forced to make time for illness. Move your body not because you hate how it looks, but because you love how it feels when it's alive. You don't need to chase perfection. Questions. You just need to honor the gift of motion. When your body moves, your mood moves. And when your mood moves, your entire life begins to move in the right direction. Questions. We live in a world where people wear business like a badge of honor. We juggle 10 things at once: talking while texting, eating while scrolling, working while worrying. We call it multitasking. Questions. But what it really is multi-wasting. Wasting our focus, our peace, and our joy. The truth is, when we try to do everything at once, we don't truly experience anything at all. Questions. The power of life lies in presence, in doing one thing at a time with your full heart, full attention, and full awareness. Have you ever been in a conversation where the other person is nodding? Questions. Saying eyes, yes, but their eyes are glued to their phone. You can feel that they're not really there, right? That's what life feels like when we live it half present. We are there physically, questions, but mentally we are everywhere else. Our mind is in yesterday's regrets or tomorrow's worries, and we forget the only moment that truly exists, this one. Presence is not about doing less, questions. It's about being more in whatever you're doing. When you eat, eat with presence. Taste the food, smell the aroma, feel the nourishment. When you walk, questions, walk with awareness. Listen to the rhythm of your steps. Notice the air on your skin. When you speak to someone, listen fully. Not to reply, but to understand. Life becomes richer, more colorful, questions, and more meaningful when you live it consciously instead of mechanically. Let me tell you a story. There was once a man who went to a monk and said, "Master, my life feels so empty. I do so much, questions, yet I feel so little joy." The monk smiled and asked, "What did you do today?" The man said, "I ate, I worked, I spoke to my family, I read a bit." The monk nodded and said, "Questions. Then go back and do those same things again. But this time be there when you do them." The next day the man returned and said, "Master, I did as you said. I ate without scrolling, questions, and I could taste every bite. I worked with focus and my mind felt clear. I spoke to my wife while looking into her eyes, and for the first time in a long time, questions, I heard her heart." The monk smiled again and said, "That's not a new life you lived. That's the same life lived differently." Our presence transforms ordinary moments into extraordinary ones. Questions. The meal you eat, the conversation you have, the task you perform, all become sacred when you give them your undivided attention. The quality of your life depends on the quality of your attention. Questions. Where your attention goes, your energy flows, and where your energy flows, your life grows. Our minds today are like open tabs on a browser. 20 windows running at once, draining our battery. Questions. We think we're being productive, but in reality, we're just scattered. When you bring your attention back to one thing at a time, it's like closing all those extra tabs. Suddenly, questions. Everything feels lighter, faster, clearer. Think about a mother cooking for her child. She doesn't just stir the food, she stirs it with love, with presence. Questions. And you can taste that presence in the food. It has warmth that no restaurant can replicate. That's what presence does. It adds soul to action. Even in your professional life. Questions. Presence is the secret ingredient of excellence. When you're fully focused on one task, your creativity deepens, your mistakes reduce, and your satisfaction increases. Questions. It's not about working harder, it's about working with awareness. A distracted mind may complete a task, but a present mind creates something meaningful. We've forgotten how to be where we are. Questions. We're constantly running toward the next thing, chasing the next goal, scrolling to the next post. But life doesn't happen in the next, it happens now. Questions. The real joy of life isn't in doing 100 things. It's in fully experiencing the one thing you're doing at this very moment. Let me share another story. A friend once told me, questions. I went on a vacation, but I realized later that I didn't really experience it. Questions. I was so busy taking pictures for social media that I forgot to actually see the place. Isn't that what most of us do? We try so hard to capture moments that we forget to live them. Questions. The best moments in life are not the ones you post, they're the ones you feel deeply. Presence gives you the gift of truly living your experiences. Try this small practice tomorrow. Questions. Whatever you do, even if it's something simple like brushing your teeth, do it with full awareness. Feel the water, taste the toothpaste, listen to the sound. It sounds silly. Questions. But when you do it consciously, you'll realize how your mind keeps running away and how good it feels when it finally stays. That's the art of mindfulness. To be fully here. Questions, even in the smallest act. Presence also changes relationships. When you give someone your full attention, you give them the most valuable gift you can, your presence. In a world full of distraction, questions, being fully there for someone is rare and powerful. A child doesn't need expensive toys, they need your undivided presence. A friend doesn't need perfect advice, they need you to truly listen. Questions. Love grows in the soil of presence. And here's a simple truth. Peace doesn't come from slowing down your life, it comes from slowing down your mind. Even in a busy day, if your mind is present, questions, you can feel calm and centered. The most peaceful people are not those with the least to do, but those who are fully engaged in whatever they're doing. Tomorrow when you sit to eat, eat. Questions. When you work, work. When you rest, rest. When you love, love with all your heart. The secret to a fulfilled life isn't in doing more. It's in being more present in whatever you do. Questions. Because when you live with presence, even the simplest moment becomes a meditation, even the smallest act becomes sacred, and even the most ordinary day becomes extraordinary. Remember, questions. The past is a memory, the future is a mystery, but the present is a gift. That's why it's called the present. So unwrap it every day with full attention and gratitude. Questions. Do one thing with full presence, and you'll realize happiness was never in the next thing. It was right here in this moment, waiting for you to notice it. Questions. Every day of your life tells a story. Some days are full of joy and laughter, others bring challenge and chaos. But at the end of each day, before the world grows quiet and you close your eyes, questions, there lies a golden opportunity, the chance to pause, look back and reflect. Reflection is not about dwelling on the past, it's about learning from it. Questions. It's about turning every experience, good or bad, into wisdom. Ending your day with reflection is like polishing the mirror of your mind so that it shines a little brighter each morning. Questions. We often rush to our days as if we're in a race, constantly moving from one task to another. By the time night falls, we're exhausted, physically, mentally, and emotionally. Questions. We collapse into bed, still scrolling through our phones, feeding our minds with noise instead of nourishment. But imagine if, instead of falling asleep in distraction, questions, you spent a few quiet minutes reflecting, asking yourself gentle questions like, what went well today? What did I learn? Whom did I help? Questions. These simple questions can completely transform your relationship with yourself and your life. Let me share a story. There was once a successful businessman who, despite his achievements, questions, felt a deep sense of emptiness. Every night he would come home late, eat quickly, and sleep with his mind full of unfinished work. One day he met a wise monk who asked him questions. Do you ever talk to your own mind? The businessman laughed and said, talk to my mind. I don't even have time to talk to my family properly. The monk smiled and said, questions. Then how will you ever know what your heart truly wants? That evening, the man decided to sit quietly before bed just for 5 minutes. Questions. He closed his eyes and replayed his day, not to judge himself, but to understand himself. Slowly, those 5 minutes became his favorite part of the day. Questions. He discovered that reflection didn't add to his stress, it released it. Reflection is like meeting yourself at the end of the day and saying, how did I do today? It's a moment of honesty. Questions. Humility and healing. When you look back with awareness, you start noticing patterns, the things that uplift you and the things that drain you. You begin to understand yourself better. Questions. Maybe you realize that you were impatient in the morning or that you could have been kinder to someone. Instead of feeling guilty, you simply make a silent promise. Tomorrow, I'll do better. Questions. That small promise is how personal growth begins. You don't need fancy journals or complicated rituals for reflection. Just a few minutes of silence and honesty are enough. Sit comfortably. Questions. Close your eyes and breathe deeply. Let your day play in your mind like a gentle movie. Don't be the critic, be the observer. Celebrate your wins. Questions. No matter how small. Maybe you made someone smile, maybe you controlled your anger, maybe you took a small step toward your goal. Then acknowledge your moments of weakness, not with guilt. Questions, but with understanding. We all stumble, but reflection helps us rise wiser each time. There's a reason why great leaders, monks, and thinkers emphasize self-reflection. Questions. It turns experience into insight. Many people go through life repeating the same mistakes because they never pause to learn from them. Questions. They move so fast that they miss the lesson hidden in the experience. Reflection slows you down just to catch that wisdom before it disappears. Questions. It's like collecting pearls of understanding from the ocean of your day. Think of reflection as emotional cleansing. Just as you take a shower to wash off the physical dirt of the day. Questions. You reflect to wash off the emotional dust, the worries, frustrations, and small disappointments that accumulate during the day don't need to go to bed with you. When you reflect, you let them go. Questions. You release the weight of the day and make space for peace. That's why people who practice nightly reflection often sleep deeper and wake up fresher. Questions. Their mind rests because it has emptied its clutter. Let's take a simple example. Imagine you had a tough conversation with a coworker. Maybe it didn't go as you wanted. Questions. And you carried that irritation through the day. When you sit quietly at night and reflect, you can revisit that moment calmly. You might realize that your coworker was stressed too. Questions. Or that your reaction came from tiredness, not true anger. This realization helps you let go of resentment. Without reflection, you would have slept angry and woken up heavier. With reflection, questions, you end the day in understanding and start the next in peace. Reflection also deepens gratitude. When you look back at your day with awareness, questions, you begin to notice the blessings that often go unseen. The friend who checked on you, the meal that satisfied your hunger, the laughter you shared with a loved one. Questions, the breath that carried you through the hours. Gratitude and reflection walk hand in hand. One teaches you humility, the other fills you with joy. Some nights your reflection might make you smile. Questions, other nights it might bring a tear. Both are beautiful. A smile means you're proud of how you lived. A tear means you're honest about how you can grow. Either way, questions, you're connecting deeply with your own soul. And that connection is where transformation begins. Here's a small practice you can try tonight. Before sleeping, questions. Put your phone aside for 10 minutes. Sit quietly and ask yourself 3 questions. What went well today? What did I learn today? Whom did I help today? Write the answers if you like. Questions. Don't look for perfection, look for progress. You'll start to notice how each day, in its own way, is teaching you something valuable. And as you do this consistently, questions, you'll realize that reflection turns days into lessons and lessons into wisdom. Remember, your outer world is a reflection of your inner world. If your mind is calm, your life feels peaceful. Questions. If your mind is cluttered, life feels chaotic. Ending your day with reflection helps you clear the inner space so that peace has room to live. It's a conversation between you and your soul. Questions, where you thank life for the day and prepare gently for tomorrow. So tonight, before you close your eyes, take a few moments to meet yourself. Look back not with judgment but with love. Questions, forgive what went wrong, appreciate what went right, and remind yourself that every day, even the hard ones, carries a lesson worth keeping. Because when you end your day with reflection, questions, you don't just close your eyes and rest, you open your heart in wisdom. And that's how you wake up not only rested, but renewed, ready to live tomorrow a little better than today.